There are NFL decisions that just don't sit right. One play, a silent review behind the scenes, and suddenly, a massive fine drops that changes the whole mood in Philly. And here's what makes it even worse. On the field, no one saw a thing. No flag, nothing. In the week of that 20-17 win against a rival that needs no introduction, the Eagles walked away with the result, but also with a controversy that blew up across the internet. Within hours, fans were split between outrage and disbelief, because when the league brings down punishment after the game, with no warning during live action, it feels like something's off. And then comes the number, a figure so big it alone explains why this became headline news. Stick with me, because we're breaking down what happened, why the NFL made this move, and what it could mean for the Eagles going forward. Here's the truth. The player fined was Saquon Barkley. The NFL hit the running back with a $46,371 penalty for unnecessary roughness, use of the helmet on a second-quarter play where he caught a short pass, lowered his head, and collided with Shamari Connor. On the field, no flag was thrown. The league reviewed it later and handed down the fine. And that's the spark. If it was that serious, why wasn't it flagged in real time? To make the inconsistency worse, fans immediately noticed comparisons. In the same week, another big-name player got a much smaller fine for taunting. So what's the standard here? What weighs heavier for the league? A harmless gesture or a hit the refs didn't even consider a foul live? The message to fans is clear. The NFL's rulebook feels all over the place. And here's my take. This looks bad. It leaves players stuck in a gray zone. They're told to use the right technique. But when no flag is thrown, and days later a massive fine drops, it feels like judgment depends on whatever replay angle you freeze. If the goal is protecting players, and it should be, then it needs to be about clear rule, plus consistent call. A fine without a flag, on a borderline play, only feeds the idea that the standard changes week to week. There's also the football impact. Barkley is central to this offense. A fine doesn't take snaps away, but does it change the way a running back attacks contact? Will he hesitate to lower his pad level in traffic? Will defenders play different knowing crown-to-crown hits might be punished later? The line between physical and punishable is getting blurry, and you can't ignore the bigger picture around the Eagles. Just recently, the league sent out that memo telling refs to keep a closer eye on Philly's push brotherly shove. Now, one of the team's biggest offensive stars gets hit with the largest fine of the week on a play that drew no flag. For Eagles fans, it's gasoline on the fire, targeting, double standards. They're trying to slow us down. Even people who don't buy into the word persecution can see why this sentiment keeps growing. Quick context on the rule. The NFL has been cracking down for years on players using the helmet as a weapon, including running backs who lower their head to initiate contact. The intention is right, reducing concussion, but the challenge is applying it in real time during a sport built on speed and collision. If the ref, standing just feet away, didn't see a foul, and the league calls it days later on video, of course fans are going to question the standard. And then there's the human side. Barkley was coming off a strong performance, moving the chains, finding the end zone, being the spark Philly needed in tough downs. The fine doesn't erase any of that, but it puts him under the spotlight. Suddenly, every technique detail is magnified because he's wearing midnight green. At the end of the day, it all comes back to one word: consistency. If the NFL wants to enforce helmet use penalties, then throw the flag on the field and apply the same standard across the board. Otherwise, it just feels like a lottery, and it fuels theory, angers fans, and distracts from the game itself. So now I'll throw it back to you. Eagles Nation, was this $46,371 fine without a flag on the field a fair call under the rules, or just another case of inconsistency targeting Philly? Is this really about protecting players? Or is it a post-game decision that just stirs chaos? Drop your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, and subscribe to the channel, because at this rate, the next chapter could drop any moment, and the Bird Gang has to be ready. Fly, Eagles, fly.